In the wake of the release of the Will Smith feature film Concussion, the topic of head trauma in sports has been pushed to the front page. But now researchers are looking outside the sports world to see what other occupations head injuries may be having an effect on. Here to comment on this story is political neurologist Dr. Adam Danielson. Dr. Danielson, I've never heard of a political neurologist before.
It's a relatively new area of expertise. But seeing as how politicians have so much decision-making power, I felt as though we should also make sure their brains are functioning at optimal levels.
But really, are politicians' brains ever at optimal function?
Yes, if they didn't have any head trauma.
Oh, okay. Well, now your first case study is actually very relevant to Canadians, entitled Liberal Cerebral, Trudeau's and Trudeau'n'ts. At only 44 years of age, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau seems like a young subject for your study.
That is a common misconception. In actuality, brain injuries can affect anyone at any age, depending on the trauma suffered. And in watching Prime Minister Trudeau since taking office, it's very clear he is showing the early signs of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, more commonly known as CTE.
CTE is very much a buzzword heard when referring to football players. I just don't see how this can possibly be affecting our Prime Minister.
Prime Minister Trudeau has always been a very active individual, and thus has even brought sports into his political career. If we remember back to March 31st, 2012, Trudeau engaged in a boxing match with Conservative Senator Patrick Brazeau. And although Trudeau won the fight, he did suffer numerous blows to the head.
Okay, but they were both wearing headgear, and surely one boxing match couldn't lead to such head trauma that we're now questioning his leadership.
Well, this is not the first instance we've seen of our now Prime Minister putting himself at risk. In a 2010 interview, Justin spoke of a party trick he would do that involved hurling himself headfirst down a flight of stairs, as seen here.
Yes, that clip was highly publicized during the election.
But take a look at it again. If you notice, as Justin falls, he actually knocks the back of his head on the second step. This would be in the region of the brainstem, a very vulnerable part of the brain. He then claimed he would do this prank at house parties, his own wedding reception, and on dates to impress his now wife Sophie. Thus, this would constitute repeat trauma to the brainstem, and my hypotheses of why we're now seeing these symptoms.
I guess his beautiful hair couldn't protect his head.
No, hair would have no impact protection.
Oh, okay. Well, you just mentioned symptoms. What have you noticed?
Some of the early symptoms of CTE include memory loss, confusion, and impaired judgment. I noticed this when watching the Prime Minister's first question period in the House of Commons.
How can Canada use its strengths, the extraordinary strengths of it can, to support? We have committed. It's very clear, Mr. Speaker, that I forget from time to time. We need both a strong environment and a protected, strong economy and a strong environment at the same time.
Well, I can definitely see what you mean in the context of this clip, and with this study, I guess you could say you've caught this just in time.
Technically, I feel as though it would have been preferential to come to this diagnosis prior to Mr. Trudeau becoming Prime Minister.
Okay. Well, my thanks to Dr. Adam Danielson. Until next time, remember, Canada, if it's wrong to be right, then we're right to be wrong. Good night.
Thank you.